So yeah, working with a tennis ball to relieve muscle tightness. So the first place is going to be between the shoulder, center of the chest. What you want to do is avoid a lot of pressure on a bone. So when we're working on the wall, it's nice. Your body weight isn't as much. So it's not quite as likely to startle you like it might when we move to the floor and you have your full body weight. So you're just gonna take your tennis ball and kind of move it around. If you know, you might not have any of these sore spots as I talk about them, but if it is a place for you. And the other thing about these muscles is they get short and tight because we spend a lot of time working. So it's a good place to loosen up. So you just put the tennis ball where you think you're going to want it, walk in close to your wall, and just lean. So then there's a few different ways to use the tennis ball just as a pressure point. So if you picture, if you've ever gotten a massage and somebody's putting a thumb or an elbow, so you just get a little pressure point and you concentrate on just relaxing around that point. Or you can decide to get your feet comfortably wide and just gently turn your body so that that tennis ball is a moving massage. And then the third point, which I will demonstrate by using my arm that you can see, is you get yourself a pressure point. So one was moving your body over the ball and it's rolling across. Now you're just moving anything below that shoulder is going to make the muscle between your shoulder and your chest slide over that stationary ball. And again, I'll go over this with each place. So there's holding still, just leaning on the pressure point. There is rolling the ball around by moving your body and the ball and letting the ball stay still. And just like here, if I reach out and I just reach a little further and then let go, reach a little further, it's like my muscles are just kind of sliding over. So it's 3 different ways to do it. And then upper back, same thing. All you do is find a way. That's where, this is where the handle comes in handy. The upper back is tricky. Maybe if you reach under and put your tennis ball, but somewhere. And again, body weight against a wall, you can have that tennis ball on your shoulder blade and probably not be uncomfortable at all. You can, you know, again, move your feet around, control the weight. And then, so you find a spot, you go, woo. So you just stay there and breathe and let go. And that's a really nice, effective thing to do. Or you start to, you know, do a little dance and roll around, find a way to move it where you want it across that shoulder blade. Mine is going in weird places, as it will. There's also that really nice place, and all you can do is really explore, but the main thing is keep it comfortable. So between your shoulder blade, you just look for places that are tight and you find a way to hold the tennis ball, get some body weight, hold still, move the limb below it or near it to slide around, or move your body and massage it. So the wall is, for me, mostly upper body. You can do your lower back there for sure, but you can also do it in a chair, and that's where we're going to move next. But if you're doing it on the wall, you could either get 2 tennis balls and nestle them all over the place. So on the lower back, you want to avoid the spine. Of course, you work these big muscles, but then below your ribs, you can also work out to the side, top of the rear end. So again, in a chair or on the floor, and again, we'll demonstrate those also. But for quads, the chair is nice. So if you got a chair nearby, what you want to do, this one really is 2 of the 3 choices. So you either put that tennis ball between your leg and your chair, and you just move it around till you find, usually it's like a line, like one line down your quad is tighter than the rest of it. So you just move it around. It might be wider, but you find a place, and this is definitely a great relaxing over that point. So you might be reading a book at the table, you might be watching TV, and you can just move that. And you would want to hold it at least 10 seconds, but you can let it hang out longer. The main thing you want to watch out for is cutting off like circulation. So don't leave it for minutes at a time. And again, you just follow a line. Once you've found a line, just move it an inch or two, let go, relax. But the other really effective way to use the tennis ball on these is find one of those tender spots. And again, when here's the muscle above my knee, so I'm moving the body part below the knee to make that muscle slide over that point. So you want to move slow and easy. You don't have to do your full range, but that's not a bad idea because again, then that muscle is gliding over. And I think it was a YouTube thing on this. He just found this more effective than, like, say, if I was on the floor and able to roll my leg around or something. He just found this gliding to be really effective for him. He was teaching a thing on sciatica. So we're gonna continue to show this on the floor. But again, just play around with that a little bit. Do my other leg for a sec. So just play around with one, just setting it still, see how it feels. It takes a little bit of brain to relax over it, and not, especially if you're gonna watch something, read something, and do this at the same time. You know, don't get all to where you're not really relaxing over it. Again, so relax on the quiet spot or glide. Now we will move to the floor, and that has a lot more body parts involved. So everything we did on the wall, you could do potentially on the floor. For instance, front of the chest, you know, you can rest your hand, you can do this. So you can, but it's a lot more body weight, but then you also don't have to worry about your ball rolling away so much, that sort of thing. So really it's a lot of trial and error. But the other thing we would do on the abdominals is perhaps like hip flexor, lower abs, but the main one I do is quads. So again, you want to work, you know, not just one spot. Maybe you're only sore in one spot, but usually it's good to move it around a bit. So once again, you find any place on the quad that feels a little tight, you get comfy, and you just imagine that muscle melting over that ball, and it's just sinking deeper and deeper. And after 10 to 30 seconds in general, if you know, you could just hang out a little longer if you wanted, you would just more or less in the same line explore and just do as many points as you feel like you need to in that thigh. Ooh, so I'm in a good point right now. So this is the same thing. I am trying to relax that quad, so I'm going to move the limb below that. Okay, as I move that, it's sliding over that ball and I can really feel it. So try and keep it comfy. If you need to move to a spot, maybe not so hot. Now it's one of those things where you can just keep moving that leg back and forth, but it also wouldn't hurt to have that quiet moment. Slide it. When it comes down, take that moment to relax. Again, it's really a thing of what feels good to you. Play around with it. So that is the main thing I would do on my abdominals a little bit, but the quad's the main one. And then of course on your back and off to the side a little bit. The glutes, yes, they can get tight. So that would be a case of really it's almost like farming or something. You want to create rows, you want to check the spots. So you want to get close to the bones, but not on them. And what's nice is you start out on your back with your knees maybe off to one side. And as you bring your knees vertical, you just put the lightest weight there. And then as you bring your knees a little further, a little heavier, if you start to roll onto it, that's a lot of weight into that cheek. So again, you find a way to control the weight of your body and enjoy it. And then there you are back at the choices of hanging out. And on this one, you can add the third one. It's too hard on the quad to try and move your body around and massage that way, but easier here, especially if you go up on your elbows and you have your feet, then you can kind of brace and you can roll around. And so you can get that tennis ball in motion. Or you can go to, so now it's above my hip. So doing this won't do any good. So I need to move the lever below the hip. So you would just be moving your knee back and forth, and that's going to get the gliding. So you just have to experiment what is most effective for you. If you do all three, you might not learn much, but you can play around over time if you have a particularly tight spot. Is it this motion? Is it this where you can go around and go, oh, it's like a free massage, or just hanging out and giving yourself time to relax. And one nice point is you kind of go above where you feel the top of that femur, and then there's the bit of muscle in between. So you always want to, again, you don't want to go onto that bone, but that little tight spot above the hip joint, again, you just roll onto whatever amount of pressure feels good, you hang out. And this would be one where you would move, again, the whole lever below the hip. Slow and easy. Keep breathing while you're doing these. And then, excuse me. And then, of course, you can use one or two balls, and you can get into the whole back thing, waist. I find the hamstrings, again, better in the chair, but then we get to calf muscles. These are tough. Your lower legs are kind of light. Now, normally I would be up against the back of my couch, so I would have some support, but I sit there and then I find a tight spot, and then I use my other leg to weigh it down. Or you could just sit back like this. Ooh, so I moved over a little, found a spot. I like it. This, again, is a little bit hard to do the moving of the body. So for the calves and me, it's either the quiet, relax over it, or move the joint below. So now I have to flex my foot and ankle to slide that calf around over that hard surface, hardish. So the tennis balls are nice because they have a little more give. I know I myself have gotten those firmer rubber balls from therapists for different things, and they can be nice. But if you hit a bone, any of that, I just find the tennis balls a little more forgiving. But if you have a tight knot and you have one of those, again, experiment. Well, I could just sit here and do this calf all day. So this went quicker than I thought, because really there's no need for us to do every part of the body. I just wanted to remind you how to best use this safely. So again, avoid bony parts, be patient, and let yourself relax over it quietly, especially if it's super sore. That might be your best choice at first. And as it starts to get better, you can do the gliding over the ball, or if it's doable, if you're in a position where you can move around and let that ball be a massage. Again, I don't find it very effective to use my hand or anything. Definitely wall, chair, floor. And then if you have any questions about anything we just did, now's the time to ask. Give you time to get off the floor and come over and unmute.
Thank you.
About the feet.
Oh, the feet. Thank you. Gosh, that was part of the chair. See, this is why I need you guys. Yes. The feet, you can be sitting on anything. I definitely recommend sitting at first. Yeah, it can be great to massage the length of your arch, bottom of the foot. So you can go all the way to the back of the heel, roll up. You can roll around the ball of the foot. You can use it to kind of grab with your toes and get stronger balance, strengthen your foot. But really that roll back and forth, you can turn your foot a little bit and get the inside of the arch. So it's great. And then as it feels better, you can get more leg, put a little weight on that foot you're working. Because again, the lower legs and feet are light, so it's hard to get a good thing. And I know for a while when I had a tight arch, I did use a golf ball, but so carefully. So it is firmer, but really the tennis ball, yeah, chance of going over something where you're like, "Ooh, I wish I hadn't done that," is a lot less. Yeah, now you got me on this foot. I'm like, yeah, I can do this all day. So any other questions? Or did that answer what you were asking?
Anything for the hands?
Well, I would say what I do on a table is more often with something like a rolling pin. So if you got a rolling pin, or I have this massager that's got a couple balls on it on a rolling pin thing. And what I would do for the hands is roll all the muscles above them. So
Good.
the trouble with tennis balls in the arm is fairly narrow, and the chances of the tennis ball actually staying where you want it pretty slim. My hat and gloves ready to go for my walk. Okay. So yeah, careful of the bony parts, a little bit of extra weight if you want it. And I just follow the muscles
Oh, okay.
up and then above the elbow, get above the bone. And just it's a little awkward, but it's pretty doable in a lot of different directions.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and then a lot of that, what happens in my hands is often determined by what's going on in my arms. And as far as I mean, you could roll your hands on the ball on the thing.
Yeah,
People use them to strengthen, but that'd probably be better with a softer ball.
right, right. Oh, okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah, I find as we were talking about at the YMCA, people ask you, oh, questions that really a doctor should answer. But one thing I can say is when something's hurting, always check the muscles above and below that might be pulling on it.
Hmm.
Work your muscles. If that doesn't help anything, then go to the doctor and find out what's going on in those joints or whatever.
Yeah,
But for me, a lot of times, but then one reason I started teaching stretch is I have muscle issues. So that's what I check first. And
yeah,
it's cheaper than a doctor's appointment.
yeah.
Yeah. But I think a lot of people try and avoid, going to the doctor. But again, you try things at home and then you go where you need to go.
Thank
Yeah.
you. That
All righty. Well, thanks, y'all.
Thank you.
And if you think of any
Thank
questions,
you.
you can ask next week.
Okay,
And thanks,
Thank
Carrie,
you.
for recording.
Thank you.
Bye.